So my name is Philippe Thieffry. I'm in charge of Bretagne Ocean Power, so association from the Regional Council of Bretagne. And I'm very happy to be here today to represent the alliance of the 6 French clusters, so France Offshore Renewables. And I'm more happy to share these sessions with our colleagues from Norway and Belgium. So Astrid Green, so in charge of business development for Norwegian Offshore Wind cluster, and Christophe, Dhaene, so president of the Belgium Offshore Wind cluster also.
Okay, friends in the offshore family. I hope you're curious about what's going on in Norway. And we are very happy to have a close relation to the French clusters, because we believe in cooperation, of course, in Europe. It's important for us. So my name is Astrid Green. I'm a business developer. I'm in Norwegian Offshore Wind, which is the biggest, rapid growing cluster in Norway. We have 370 members in all parts of the value chain. That's what we are talking about later on, Philippe, about cooperation. Even if we cover the whole chain with everything from developers to small companies, of course there are gaps. There are areas that we would like to have a global cooperation on, and we already have with some of the French companies. And of course, we develop world-leading supply chains within floating wind, and we cannot do that alone. So we are really looking for global cooperation. Norway's goal, not so far away from the French goal, 30 gigawatt by 2040. And we just launched the 2 first areas in Norway just now. There's a deadline for applications in September, August and September this year. So the developers are now really working hard on these projects. There's one floating, Utsira Nord, 1.5 gigawatts, divided into 3 areas. So there will be 3 winners on the floating projects there. And bottom fixed, South North Sea 2, a bottom fixed area with a little bit of kind of different auction. We are talking about how we're doing this in Norway. On Utsira, on the floating part, we really have qualitative criteria. That's important. Divided, if I say 100%, it's like 30% on cost level, 20% on technology and innovation, 30% on the ability to deliver such a project, 10% on sustainability, and 10% on local development, Philippe. So even if it's like a small percentage, the local content and the local development is also important here. These are the consortiums looking into those 2 areas, and you see they are not, they're a global level already, so we have to cooperate on the global. Every time I put this up, I see the mobile cameras coming up as well. So these are really global players. All the red ones are members in our cluster. I think all these developers would have a hard time just to go into those 2 areas that we have in Norway. The government has set 30 gigawatt by 2040. They have now launched some potential new areas to reach that goal along the whole coast of Norway. I think that's why we can invest so much in these first projects, because the government has said that they will launch now, they say, every 2nd year, some projects. And as you see, it's 75% floating. In Norway, we have a huge potential for floating projects, so that is what we aim for. That could also mean cooperation with French players. We work a lot on innovation. We have our own test center, the Norwegian Offshore Wind cluster. We are running the center. I know that you also have that in France. I've been seeing one of them. So it's important to test technology, and I think on the first 2 floaters that we have launched or set up in Norway, we had between 30 and 60 smaller companies testing out their technology, not only Norwegian. We really already do global cooperation. That's important. One more thing I just want to mention as well regarding supply chain and the cooperation. In Norway, we now have huge investments in the ports. I see also in France and some other countries in Europe that ports are really crucial. It's a bottleneck. It's also huge investments in those ports. In Norway, we have the space, we have the depths, we have the areas, and I think we have 11 port areas to develop. These are just a few of them. So these are also elements that we can look into. Are there any cooperation possibilities between France, Norway, and other parts of Europe? Because I think we should see Europe as a whole, not each project by itself. So that's an area that we would like to have more cooperation. And we will also like to export technology and products from the Norwegian ports. These are just to illustrate we are not far away from Europe. So these are some of the Norwegian strengths. So that was just a short glimpse into the Norwegian wind sector now, Philippe. So that was just my introduction. I'm looking forward to the discussion.
Hello. I'm Christophe. I'm the president of the Belgian Offshore Cluster. Like Astrid has already told, you cannot do any project on your own. So you always need to cooperate. You always need to work together. And have respect, of course, for your partners, but also for the local content. It's important in every country. That's a little bit strange. Okay. So we are active since 2008, the early years of offshore projects, offshore wind projects. Nowadays, we are operating in all parts of the world, Asia Pacific, starting in the US and overall in Europe, of course, too. So, and as you see, I will show you some timelines. It was quite busy because we needed to complete an area in Belgium by the end of 2020. So everybody in Belgium was busy with the completion of this target, and afterwards, everybody knew that he need to export and go global for selling his experience, of course. I'm not alone, of course. We have a team. You can also visit us. We have a booth over there at Belgian Offshore Cluster. We have very nice pedieux. There's still left from yesterday evening, so I invite you all to come. Then our mission is of course, we represent also the offshore industry, the offshore suppliers to the Belgian government. And on the other hand, of course, we have a lot of experience that we want to export and share with other partners. Which is also important that we are independent. So there's no government involved. We can take our own decisions. Yeah? So it depends from country to country, but I think it's sometimes important. Okay? We are active with our members. We have more or less 70 members, and we operate in all the different phases of an offshore project. So in each phase, pre-development, production, commissioning, and so on, we have members with expertise on this. I will not walk through all the individual companies who does what, but in our website, you can look for a certain topic, for instance, and then you can find the companies which are active or has the experience in that matter. Okay. Decommissioning is also becoming more and more important because we had one of the early wind farms in Belgium, sea power, and after 20 years, of course, it's also the first project which comes in decommissioning, also with another wind farm in Denmark. We have tried to listen, just to list our experiences that we have, and in detail. So every company, every member of the Belgian Offshore Cluster had made his list with competences. We all have put this together. So it's not only metal and steel, which is important, of course, but there is a lot of things. There's so many different systems that you need for running and operating a wind farm that it's only the first page. Data management is also becoming more and more important. Just to give you an idea, I think the latest wind farm, we were capturing 40,000 parameters by second. So, and sometimes we need to explain in a lot of countries which are active in oil and gas. No, they say we do oil and gas, we know everything already. This is a mistake. An offshore wind farm is unmanned, it's remote controlled from the control room. There's no people at sea, of course for maintenance reasons, of other things. So this is something that we try to tell in each country where we want to cooperate together. It's not the same, offshore wind farms is not the same as oil and gas. Now I will stop, because well, I can send the presentation, you can have it. Of course, we will not go in depth of each topic, of course. Now, something about the Belgian North Sea. We have already, here deployed 2.2 gigawatts at the border with the Netherlands over there. And now there is a new tender coming. It's called the Princess Elizabeth Zone, which is here. It will be tendered in it will be divided in 3 tenders. It will come quite soon, so everybody knows this already. And what is also important, in Belgium we will build an energy island, which is not collecting the energy from the 3 offshore wind farms, but also interconnectors to the UK and so on. So I think there's also a presentation this afternoon about the Belgium energy island, which will be built also in the same context, in the same timeline of these whole areas. We're talking about 3.5 gigawatts. We want to extend it, but first things first. So after this has been realized, we're finished in Belgium. It's, all the space is gone. But of course, there's still a lot of work to do in Europe and abroad. I think some players need to choose. US, Europe. Europe is safer, I should say, of course. But there's a lot of restrictions in entering the US market. Yeah, our memberships, that's open for Belgian companies, but also for companies which are coming from in Europe. We don't have so many members like Astrid, but they all have proven projects in offshore wind farms. What do we do as an organization? We have our own Belgian Offshore Days. It's the end of March. It's the 27th and the 28th. It's not mentioned right. Next year, we are on all fairs in Hamburg, typically. Hamburg is each 2 years. In between, we go to Copenhagen. Nantes, next year will be very important for us too, in Nantes. Everybody knows in France, you need to be Saint-Nazaire, that's the place to be. And also Asia Pacific, we are quite careful. We are active in Taiwan now, and the next one will be South Korea and Japan. So we also there with the booth and a group of companies there. And in the US, we will see if we continue going there. But we went there already for the 3 years. Next year we are at EPF. It's in New Orleans next year. So we will be there present, but not so active like in the other European fairs. We organize also keynote speakers events. Sometimes we invite maybe you all to come to an event to us. Also on the Belgian Offshore Days, we try to invent more and more cluster organizations. Just some pictures. As you know, wherever we go, the first evening of each fair, there is the Belgian beer night. Remember that. If you visit the fair for 1 day, you should come the first day. Then you can join us. In Taiwan, also in October, I think there is more an agenda. So we are here, Seanergy, Paris now. We are still in Taiwan in the October, but in October there are also, and it's important just to have the right dates. At the same time, there is a fair in Ireland. We need to go to Litauen, Latvia also. So I don't know why, but sometimes in 1-2 weeks they all want to organize their fairs. So maybe France can take the lead for coordination like this, for instance, why not? And then, next year our own and wind energy Hamburg, of course, it's the largest fair in Europe. All right, you can also visit our website. If you have any questions, I'm glad to answer. Thank you.
Thank you, Christophe. So, what's up in France? So, as you know, offshore wind market is a quite new market in France. So, we have our first experiences on our very first project. So, one in Saint-Nazaire, the place to be, and the other one in Saint-Brieuc, also the place to be, Christophe, and Bretagne. So maybe you already know or not, but excuse me. So we have now a single organization in France, which names France Offshore Renewables. So this is association of the 6 regional clusters that already exist in offshore wind. So from Normandy to Mediterranean Sea. The objective of this association is to promote the French companies to the export market, to support them to access to the French market, but also to support them to find partners in Europe. Because for many of our companies, so many of them are SMEs first, and for many of these companies, offshore wind is still a new activity. So it can be quite difficult for them to go alone with no partners to this new market. So very important for them to find European partners. We represent more than 500 of companies. We do not know exactly the right figures, but it can give you an idea. So, about the French market, so good news and bad news. The good news is that we have a strong target now, ambitious one. So the target is around 20 gigawatt in 2035 and 40 gigawatt in 2050. So it's around 2 gigawatt per year for the next year. So this is the good news. The bad news is that we have rules and very constrained rules in France. We do not have any qualitative criteria in France, unfortunately. The main criteria is the cost of energy. So we always heard that this is the rules from the European Commission. We must have more than 70% of the criteria on the price, and the rest for the socio-economic impact, environmental impact, and so on. But the problem that we have in France is not necessarily this balance between 75 and 25. The problem that we have is that we do not have any limit on the cost of energy. So you can propose a lower and lower and lower cost of energy, and this is what we see on the really last project in France that was awarded around 40 euros per megawatt hour. And we all know that with such cost it will be very hard for the local companies, local SMEs, but also European SMEs, I think, and European companies to be part of this project. So we are quite concerned about that, and the result can be more and more devices from Asia, turbines, foundation, and so on. So we really would like that this part, this 25%, it can stay 25%, but the proposal that we can make to the French government would be that there is no limit on this criteria, because today there is a limit on that, but no limit on the cost. So every bidders have the same number of points of this one. So this is criteria that do not count on the final results. The only criteria that count on the final results is the cost as a result. So what do we do with that? So this is the reason why in France we need to be quite innovative as a clusters. So we have already performed some actions. So we have started in 2020. We proposed the Charter of Commitment that was signed by all of the bidders in France. And on these charters, so all the bidders commit on the method. They cannot commit on the results. We are not allowed to do that. But they commit on the method to ease the access to the information to the local companies first. So it's a first start. It's not enough, but it's a first start. And the other action that we have, we also make some proposals to the French government, as I said. Now, to also help the development of the local content and of local SMEs, as I said, we already need to propose a strong partnership to our companies. So that's why we are here today at 3. We need to cross our matrix of competencies to see where we are strong, where we are not strong, and where we can find some clever partnerships on which kind of activities and so on. We have to facilitate the SMEs to meet each other. We already done on an event like this. And at the end, we also can make proposal to the European Commission, I think. And that's why French Offshore Renewables has already drafted some expectation. So we have a first document with 10 expectations to improve the local acceptance of offshore wind project through development of local content. So we have just proposed to you to sign this document. It's just the start of the discussion about that. We can have a target to maybe sign a common document next year, maybe on Wind Europe. We already have one signature, so very happy for that, from the Energia cluster, so the Basque Energy cluster in Spain. So this is a good start, and I'm sure that we will find a good document that we will be all happy with that. So thank you for all, and do you want to react or to complete something?
Like Philippe mentioned, but it's not a problem. It's not a problem of competition. There is so much work to do. There is no competition. Of course, you cannot do. There is also the people. Everybody needs more and more and more people, so they cannot do all the jobs that they want. So the only option is find a partner in a country, educate him. If you have more experience, educate him, and do the local projects, but also take that partner with you also on other projects outside of your own country. So that's what I wanted to add.
Yeah, a little bit of the same. If we are used to work together in some projects, we can really be good in the next project and even better. So I think we need all capacity. There's enough projects, and we have to build the best supply chains, and we can only do that by cooperate. So we have started, I think, well off to just meet here, but also bring Norwegian companies to France, French companies to Norway, and also in other countries as well. Yeah, I think that's crucial, actually, that we can build these professional supply chains, and that the companies are used to work together, have the same language together, because there's a lot of things around HMS, risks, all these things that they're used to work in the same environments. So I think we have to create that in Europe. So that's very good. Good initiatives that you have done here in France, Philippe.
So thank you all, and I think that the first step of our collaboration could be to invite you to the cocktail on the Neopolia booth. So just now, see you soon, right now.